So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebley Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
Hello.
Hello.
Julie and all others.
Yes, hello, Lisa.
I guess you can't answer for everybody, but how are you?
It's been kind of a wild week.
Has
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it has. And I'll talk about that a little bit. But it's one of those weeks where it's the pendulum between you think things are so important and you're trying to manage and maybe you're doing pretty well and things are going okay, and then pendulum swings and you think, yeah, none of that was really so big. I should leave that aside and put my head back into what's really important. And then sure enough, back the pendulum swings and it's into, oh, but that and details and distraction. And so I've had a swinging pendulum week. So
Okay.
yeah. How are you? Let's go there.
Okay. All right. And speaking of going, we get to go to Flagstaff, which is one of my
Yay.
favorite things. I don't remember if you and I have specifically stated the joy of pulling over the Camp Verde grade and looking across and seeing the peaks.
The peaks.
The peaks, and that I have photographed that view so many times, generally without much success. But if we're going to Flag, we get to pass the peaks.
We do, and it is a matchless moment to come over that crest and that view.
We're going to talk about snow.
Oh.
And how amazing snow is, and specifically any time of year when I pull under the J.W. Powell Boulevard, I remember a very specific story very clearly. When Mike Schmidt and I were the KTVK TV3 Northern Arizona News Bureau, and we had the best beat in the world because it was all of Northern Arizona. Weather is always a big deal to television viewers. And the fact that all of a sudden Channel 3 had unlimited weather without having to dispatch crews to go there was just like free food to them. This particular day we had, I don't know why, but we were coming across 40. And I guess maybe we were just tired of doing 17 and we were going to look at 40 because you can count on vehicles off the road if there's a snowstorm. And no, we were going down 17. I reversed myself. We were heading down 17, and the story occurs on 40. As we came under what is now J.W. Powell, there is, right in the road, a set of tires on its, what are tires on? They're on a drive shaft, I guess, sitting in the road.
Okay.
And Schmidt and I first stop carefully and look at each other, and then look up and see over us on the overpass the cab of an 18-wheeler swinging ever so slightly, anchored to I-40 by the truck itself.
Okay, we had the pendulum. This is now turning into the pit and the pendulum. This is a post story. This is crazy. We do not practice this, listeners, by the way. These things just happen.
We walk in, we deliver.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the cab swinging.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we say, holy nothing, and we figure out how to get there the most quickly, and we get there. We had to go kind of a ways, but we came back up behind it, and it had just happened. And so there wasn't really any law enforcement on the scene yet, because of course law enforcement scatters like rice when there is a storm because you've got to be everywhere. And we pull pretty close up behind him, and the driver has managed to get out, and there are a couple people gathered around, and Schmidt grabs the camera and we say, "Gad, man, what happened?" And he relates that he had not been paying enough attention and slid and was going too fast and the cab went over.
Wow.
And he was able through, I don't know if they have trucker fitness things that the guy did every morning, but he was agile enough to be able to inch himself over to the passenger seat, which he deemed a little less risky for whatever reason. I guess his seat must have been a little farther out over, and was able to grab the railing. And I bet the adrenaline was fierce at that moment, and bring himself up on the road. And only then did we stop to reflect, oh my gosh, thank God there were no motorists passing
Yeah.
underneath at that
Yeah.
moment. I guess it was early enough in the morning that there wasn't much traffic out yet. But man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, every time I drive under it, I can almost see that again. And the kicker, and of course nowadays we would have all had our phones out and everybody would have been taking video. This is so long ago, little children, that there was something called 1 hour photo,
Yeah.
and some motorist took pictures, went to 1 hour photo, returned with the photos, knowing rightly that there was going to be a lot of measuring and law enforcement and taping off and directing of traffic and untangling of what had transpired, which would give him time. So we got video of this guy showing this driver these photos of what he had managed to extricate himself from.
I'm marveling too that, the role of the news is, hey, look, there's a disaster. Let's go join it. Like, as opposed to, that's a chaotic mess. Where's the opposite way? Like, I mean, the rest of us sort of get this privilege, right, of like distancing ourselves from the really frightening. And you had to pull up right behind it
And
with a microphone.
I think that speaks volumes to who goes into news, because I think the rest of you have to distance yourself from it, and I get to pull up right behind it.
Okay.
And I don't embrace suffering. I don't like there to be hurt or pain or grief. And maybe I told you, when I was a kid, the Tucson Community Center was brand new and there was a circus there. And my dad, who tended to run on, I have been talking to people and enjoying them so much, I'm now behind schedule, which made my mother crazy, got home in time to pick us up, no dinner. He races us to the event. And he had a little card, a placard in the car by the driver's seat, and it just said Larry Schneble, K-Gun 9. So he wasn't claiming anything that wasn't true. And he pulled down the loading ramp, kind of, and there's a security guard out there. And he pulls up and said, "Hey, Larry Schneble." And the guy said, "Mr. Schneble," which would not have happened in every room in town. He was not universally known, but he gambled and got lucky. And the guy would have seen him on Warehouse Foods commercials or the telethon, or, who knows where. But he just said, I'm a little behind. I wonder if there's someplace I could park. And the gentleman said, right there, behind the elephants.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought, this is so cool. And it was by no means and I vowed that moment I was going to pursue a career in news, but it sure was in there. TV gets you stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that stuck. And I don't think there was ever a time, if we were rumbling down the median or waved under the tape or whatever, that a little bit of me didn't think, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Because you want to see everything, you want to be everywhere, you want to know what everybody thinks, you want to get there first, you want to share it with everybody else. It was just the ultimate job. And there was a fire that turned out to have toxic smoke, and we all had to get our lungs tested. And there have been a couple times where I thought, okay, I'm not loving this, but 99% of them were, this is so cool. If there's
Well,
going to be a cab swinging over a freeway, I want to see it up close. And I guess, and maybe we're born that way, huh? Maybe that's one of the
Wow.
many things we're born with. I sense that we're almost to a segue, but you know what? We're going to break first.
Okay, very
So
good.
that we don't do that quite yet, and then we will return to celebrate Arizona A to Z.
Sounds good.
Julie and I have always both loved Flagstaff, and that makes this even better news to us. Discover Flagstaff is our new sponsor. Discover Flagstaff is the City of Flagstaff's way of welcoming tourists and visitors, and they are the sponsor of Celebrating Arizona from now on. So next week, we're going to talk about the beautiful, beautiful visitor center in that gorgeous old historic train depot. In the meantime, let us say thank you, Discover Flagstaff, for joining us. And we're back.
And so we're back.
and I realized that my segue is retroactive, because you talked about rivers last week, and now it's this week, and we don't want to repeat last week. So I have lost my segue, and you're just going to tell me where you're taking us.
Where we're going instead.
Yes.
So this week is not a river. It is a cemetery. And it is a cemetery in Tubac, Arizona. And the reason we're going there is that I learned that a dear friend's husband just died of cancer.
I'm sorry.
And so, yes.
I'm
And
sorry.
so when I referenced my week earlier, like, I'm in the middle of I'm in the middle of trying to buy a house, trying to move, packing, all the logistics, and I'm thinking that and there's kind of a whirlwind sucker punch that happens with a house offer. And then there's a run-in with the county because a friend has been staying with me and her dog bit a neighbor. And so it's just, speaking of the circus, it was a circus this week. And my
Nicely
head,
done.
yeah, and my head is right in the middle of it. And then I hear that this beloved friend is grieving the very recent death of her husband. And what I realize is that death can have a very early grace, and maybe its only grace is that it stops the stupid real fast. Everything that is not life, death, love, or loss is just less important. And so I'm reflecting on that, and on maybe a grace that death can hand us, and thought of the celebrancy that we witnessed when we went to the Tubac Cemetery. And it was just after Day of the Dead. And so there were beads and flowers and photos and beer bottles and coffee cups and color, and this will sound strange, life. And
Absolutely.
and we got to feel, and it all felt grateful and not ghoulish.
Oh, nicely done. Nicely done.
Okay, I did write that out. I prepped a little.
You almost made me do a spit take, right? I'm glad our friends aren't watching. That would have been less than graceful on my part.
But yeah, I did prep a little bit for this.
Well, it was.
So that was pre-written.
Worth it. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
But it was a moment where, and it felt inviting, as though we were all invited to remember some good and some good times.
Yeah.
And that too is quite a grace, walking into a place of remembrance and a place of death, that there is this also very opposite and enlivening feeling. Was, what's the adjective? Remarkable, because I'm remarking on it, but
uplifting.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Uplifting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for saving my little dog treat, and letting me be the one to say what I love about that is it is the hybrid cemetery. And I'm betting the only one, although I've never crossed Texas and looked at every little town, because of the wrought iron arched gate that says Tubac Cemetery.
Oh.
Because it's cementaria and cemetery.
Yes.
And
Nice.
I don't know if it was deliberate, and I don't care if it was deliberate. I just love the melding of the Anglo and pre-existing cultures that meet there so, as you say, vividly and joyously, and looking at all the best of death. And if guns and money and knives and fire are neither good or bad, Of course, death is neither good or bad. And I will
Mm,
never forget, and I've
mm,
quoted you on this to many people. Raise your hands, folks. When Larry died, when my beloved best friend Larry died, and I called you, I was listening to Hymn to Freedom all the way to Tucson, over and over and over, and unless I was talking, and I called you and described the circumstances of from I'm having trouble breathing. It was only 28 minutes until he had full exit.
mhm.
And I don't know what I said, but what you said that I will never forget is, it sounds like there is more grace than grief. And that was such a beautiful assessment and reaction. And I think our reaction to death is probably generally appropriately, oh, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But that's not all there is to it. And you were able, and of course you were able, because Larry loved you like I do, to see something else in it that people don't automatically see.
Well, then there was grace working on me too. And how could it not? I'm talking to my best friend about her dad who who did show me love, offer me love. We have also talked through the hard parts, and this is not candy gloss that we're trying to offer
No,
today.
no.
We have been in the hard parts with each other many, many times and know the gutting of them. I liked Tubok for many, many reasons, and it's also, disclosure, I'm fascinated by places of faith. And so I found that cemetery to be one in goodness, in memory, in family, in love. And those are sacred to run into for me. So
Absolutely.
that's where I chose to take you today.
So glad that you did.
Well, thank you.
Let's break and come back for a question.
Very good.
We have a second new sponsor, the Coogan and Martin Law Firm in Tubac. One more reason to love Tubac. Such a charming little city, and it has a law firm that truly meets every need an attorney can provide. Real estate transactions, wills and probate, agricultural law, international transactions. They have worked together for decades. They are salt of the earth, brilliant people, and I cannot recommend Coogan and Martin more highly.
And hello, everybody. We're back.
We are indeed, and we have the coffee mug of the day from my ridiculously large collection of Arizona coffee mugs. And this one is regionally appropriate. Although the region is spread, it's the Toasted Owl, and the picture's on the website. The first one opened in Flag. I think it was Mike's Pike, but it could have been the Country Club location. Mike's Pike is my favorite because Ellsworth loved Mike's Pike, so Larry loved Mike's Pike, so I love Mike's Pike. But this particular mug has all of Arizona's owls on the back and is big enough for a generous helping of coffee. And that's probably one of my happy places. Free shout out to the Toasted Owl.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. And now there's one down here in the valley, and Mitchell works there, and I have almost a regular table, and so that's today's mug. So question today. And it seems like twice in the past week, different people have said, "Oh, I'm a beach person," and somebody else
Mm.
said, "Well, he's a mountain person." And I thought, "Is this a thing? Are there one or the other people?"
I've seen
Mm-mm.
it a lot on like Match.com profiles, on dating profiles. Yeah.
Really? Maybe
Yeah.
that's made it a thing.
One of the questions that is like in order to like get to know each other, tell them a little about yourself. Like will be one of the questions.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where I've
okay.
seen it.
Well, we don't have to pay for Match.com. We'll just answer it, Julie.
Good.
Mountains or
Okay,
beaches?
excellent. Okay, and my answer is that I have, since I was a little girl, I drew a picture of the mountains by the ocean. So
Oh.
I've wanted them together, right? My magic combination is water and trees. And you can usually see those easier in a mountain setting than a beach setting.
Certainly, especially after I've said the peaks, the peaks, the
The
peaks,
peaks, the
I
peaks,
would
yeah.
have to go mountains. But I have also always believed that had I grown up by water, I could never have left. To have that all the time, no way I'd get myself out of it. So I guess a good thing I didn't, because I love Arizona a whole lot. Newsflash.
It can be. It's a little easier to find real estate near mountains than near ocean. This
That's
is
true
also
too.
true.
A little
Yes.
cheaper, yeah,
Yeah.
depending on
A
how far
little
away
more
from the
accessible.
the mountain you can
There's
stand to be.
okay.
You
And
have a
so
reading,
I do. Okay. So I do have a reading.
and
And
this is the part where
so
you're supposed to plan ahead.
yes, and so yeah, okay. And so maybe for obvious reasons when we get to the end, it is about struggle and that sort of mental state where it's just struggle. And it's called Arcade, and it's spelled ARKADE question mark. These are things that, are visual cues when you read that you don't get if you're listening. So
Absolutely.
I'm giving you the cues.
Okay, got the cue. Got
Arcade. Is struggle a circus barker? Trying not just our hands, stepping us right up to its rigged games? The daily list, like whack-a-mole without a mallet, to-dos popping, us wanting nothing but to smack them down. New normal, a pinball round, flipping us fast, letting us drop, all motion, no destination, reactions rolling one to another. Being social, skee ball, most attempts off target, expensive effort for few rewards. All in a din, attempts heckled, harassed by self-talk, jeering as awkward silence drones on and struggle sells another round at the fun fair. Or are we the next Noah? Never the master, though ever in the ring, trying not to be trampled by a mounting menagerie, getting the daily done. Steady ballast in a storm of absurdities, with the response, okay, what next?
Wow.
That's kind.
I'm glad that's
Thank
going to be
you.
on the website because I need to see it. Yeah, there was a lot of churn that rolled over and broke, and wow, it reminds me of my first. Well, there were no insignificant dates with Tom, but um, on a very important night, he was talking at dinner about how many things can go wrong, and how if you let yourself, you can just become overwhelmed with all the things that can go wrong, and that at that point it was, I may not be quoting exactly, but it was very close to, so you really only have two choices. You can either just curl up in a fetal position and hope it won't be as bad as all that, or you can say, bring it on.
Mm.
And your last line
Mm-hmm.
echoed, bring it on. And I love that.
Well, if I've gotten anywhere near the wisdom of Tom, then I've done pretty well.
You've gotten very close to the wisdom of Tom, and you did it very well.
That's that's a good day for me.
That's
So
a good
thank
day
you
for
for
anybody.
that.
Thank you for that. I will probably predictably go back to Snow, and this is a little excerpt from Chief Yellow Horse Lives On, which came out back before some of you were probably born in 2003, and it's after being in Flagstaff. Snow literally recreates the landscape. Rough and jagged no longer apply. Branches lose sharpness under undulating drapery. Edges become suggestions. Everyday objects are now artwork. A bicycle is a sculpture of softness. A car is puffy and vague. And when the sun comes, trees sparkle like we're living in a giant snow globe. And what a white! Midday, it makes you squint. Even under a cloudy sky, it is almost astringent in its whiteness. The most beautiful snowscape I ever saw was in Flagstaff, very late at night. The starlight was bright enough to illuminate the snow as if it had phosphorescent qualities and cast shadows. Driving in snow while tense is also breathtakingly gorgeous. A favorite line from a holiday song, and I didn't put this in, I'm just adding it, but snow in the headlights, confetti in a parade. That's from Over the Rhine. Blood oranges in the snow. But yeah, the flakes swirl up to greet you and dance in wavy patterns across the asphalt. My father smiles when he goes over a cattle guard because it's a sign to him he is out in rural country. I beam when I see a snowplow because it means I'm in a winter storm. I hope I never grow too aware of all that can go wrong driving in winter weather to make at least one pilgrimage annually to a snowstorm, where the world is covered and gentle and brilliantly new. Snow is one of nature's great gifts, especially in Arizona. Water in disguise, bringing opportunities for games, making regular walks exhilarating, giving us all a new place to live without having to move.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well,
This is so.
always, this has been such fun, and we hope for everybody else. And I look forward to doing it again.
Till next time.
May
yes.
we have another. Yeah.
May we have another. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blatney. And I'm Dana Cooper.